Hello, hello, and good day. I am practitioner Jay, and I always start my classes with a corny dad joke. And today's is this: I am so good at sleeping, I can do it with my eyes closed. Ba-dum-bum. All right, if you can take two deep healing breaths with me, one through the nose, out through the mouth, or however you're comfortable. You can close your eyes. Give yourself the gift of peace and calm and tranquility and oxygen. All right. So today's class, I'm going to be basically talking about some simple marital tips. Now, or relationship tips. Uh, and you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with trauma or betrayal or stress or dysfunction or what have you? Is because there's usually a relationship before a significant bomb goes off in your relationship. And many times, if you're reconciling, there's a relationship afterwards. So I want to give you tips that no matter where you are on the spectrum, you can apply these tips to either hopefully prevent a bomb going off in your marriage, or that will help you deal with the bomb that went off in your marriage. So what is the most important piece of a relationship you'd give someone? What's the one thing that you would highlight? I'm giving a two-part class, so this is part one. I'm going to share the results of a poll that was taken by relationship counselors and relationship coaches regarding the roadmap of happy relationships and happy marriages. The majority of these tips and techniques and suggestions and recommendations, certainly you've heard before, as with a lot of things with my class. But maybe we can take either a deeper dive into some of these, or you can just bring them to the front of your mind. Number one, in a poll, and I think there was like 100 professionals that were polled. And number one was being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is important for many, many reasons. Number one, your eyes are the window to your soul, and how vulnerable you are, the more that your partner can connect with you on an intimate basis. Intimacy is into me, see. So, so many times we try to cover up our weaknesses with other things, and it doesn't allow us to bond or connect from an intimate standpoint. But being vulnerable allows us to be open and do just that. So whenever you are sad, scared, or lonely, share your feelings. Be specific about what you feel, why you feel that way. By doing so, you open up a door for genuine connection. Gives your partner an opportunity to step up, to be there for you, and to get through something together. And that's how you grow as a couple. You get through these many trials together. And that makes for a true partnership. Number two, fix it, don't throw it away. One of the things that my grandmother actually told me before she died, she said, the difference between my generation and yours is that in my generation, when something was broke, you didn't throw it away, you fixed it. And her and my grandfather were married, 60 some odd years. When something's not working, you fix it. You don't throw it away. One of the reasons why relationships break down and end up in divorce is that couples easily give up on their relationships. No relationship is perfect, and there will always be 101 reasons for giving up. One of the things I want to say that, social media, it's great in a lot of areas and ways. It's been wonderful. However, in this day of social media, it put challenges on relationships because we live in such a microwave society. If we want a burger, all we got to do is order one on our app and go grab it. We want food, we just order it on our app and food's delivered to us within 20 minutes. If we want to cheat on our spouse, we download an app and within 20 minutes we're meeting a stranger for sex. I mean, social media and technology has been wonderful in a lot of ways, but it's really put a challenge on relationships. If you want your marriage to work, always look for ways to fix it instead of throwing it away. Number three, the little things are the big things. Little things do mean a lot. Remember, the small things that make a big difference. The little things that you did at the beginning of a relationship No matter what it was, saying please, thank you, excuse me, smiling at one another across the room. I mean, nowadays you have couples that are in the same room and their head is involved in their technology, barely acknowledging the other person. When you're first together, you look at each other and you smile, even if it's from across the room. Do those small things, do those simple things. They go a long way. Softly touch the hand of your partner when you're walking by them, or even, when you're having dinner with them. Brush the back of their neck or kiss the back of their neck or offer to do one of their chores, their responsibilities. Now, obviously, this may need to be tailored, especially after broken trust. But communicate on what exactly the person needs or what would help them, or observe what you think they need. If they're having a hard time or frustrated doing something, offer to do it for them. Next one is maintaining a growth mindset. Successful and happy relationships are about growth. I say all the time, far more than human beings, we are human evolvements. We are growing. We are learning. Life is like a gym. You don't go to the gym and months later come out the same person. You come out growing. Your muscles grow. And so do your relationships. We also grow personally. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago, and you're not going to be the same person 5 years from now that you are today. We're constantly learning. We're constantly growing. We're constantly evolving. So have the mindset that you guys want to grow together. And that may mean building the bridges to constantly get to know one another, which includes constantly getting to know who you are. Because so many times people get married and they're exchanging the I do's without knowing who the I am is. Each person in the relationship must be growing as a person, as an individual, like I just said, pursuing your own goals, your own interests, and so forth. Becoming a better person every day. Is that better spiritually, mentally, financially, emotionally, what have you? The healthier the person is, the better you can bring your personhood to the relationship. And if both people are doing that, they're both raising the bar and raising the standard, ultimately raising the bar and the standard of your relationship. This is crucial if you're repairing after infidelity. Your partner must see that you are healing the broken parts of yourself that contributed to you stepping outside the marriage. The second is mutual support. One of the most important roles we play in a relationship is supporting our partner in their growth. This means knowing our partners well and keeping up with their daily lives. This is obviously profoundly necessary after betrayal. So get to know what helps your partner and yourself and start doing it. Now, for the partner that is reconciling after betrayal, obviously they're hurt, they're shattered, they're damaged, they're wounded. There's no doubt about that. However, if you make the decision that you are going to reconcile, please don't give your partner a life sentence. Yes, you can tell them they hurt you. Yes, you can share your triggers. Yes, all this other stuff. But if your goal every time you guys are together is to remind them of how they hurt you, are you keeping true to your word that you want to reconcile? Because reconciling means moving forward. The third layer is growth in the relationship itself, or in the marriage. So, we need mutual goals and pursuits. We build mutual friendships, travel, and enjoy hobbies together. We build families and pets and children together, or grandchildren, what have you. These pursuits helps us bring us closer to our marriage and to the maturity of our relationships. One of the most crucial aspects during this phase is rebuilding trust. Partners must be honest and consistent, and consistently building trust. One of the things I do want to say as far as rebuilding after infidelity is, I always say this: we have to work on our individual issues, we have to work on our marital issues, and we have to work on the betrayal issues, the broken trust issues. And sometimes that's energy and techniques and tips that we do individually, and other times it's things to do together. So obviously, you working on your own stuff, a lot of that energy is just yourself, but you can also include your partner, your spouse. Like, let's just say you are into yoga. You can, invite them to a yoga session, what have you. Then there's going to be marriage stuff. Again, a lot of that energy is going to come from you. A lot of that stuff is going to, you guys are going to have to work together. And then infidelity, a lot of that stuff's going to come from you. Like, for instance, the person that stopped out of the relationship, they're going to have to work on reconciliation. They're going to have to work hard on building trust. They're going to have to work hard on being proactive and honest. And then the other person's going to have to work very hard on forgiving and, or at least understanding, that their weaknesses and insecurities has nothing to do with their partner stepping out. And then there's also the rebuilding together. So there's going to be some stuff that's interwoven and then stuff that you do individually. Okay, next one is resist falling into set roles. Even if you divvy up some responsibilities, it's still important that both of you develop all of the domestic and business skills necessary to take care of your family and run a household just as if you were single. I just want to give you a quick thing. My aunt, who was married to my uncle for about 40 some odd years, he passed away, and she never knew how to write a check. Her husband was the one who did all of the business, all of the money, all of the accounts. And she said, it's just something I never had to do. He did it all. And while that's wonderful and that's great, be sure that even if you divvy up the chores where the other person's better, fine, they can do it, but we should all know all roles. Because number one, God forbid something happens, such as the case of my aunt, she's not completely lost. And then number two, it gives you a self of confidence just being in the relationship. After you get involved in a relationship, the world sees you as one unit. So making it easy to slip into traditional roles and optimize your time and skills to one another, subverting your interests and goals to align with one another. This leads to both partners becoming an expert in one area or lacking in another. Obviously, like I just said, people are going to do what they're naturally inclined to be more gifted towards. So some people are better with finances. That's great, fine and dandy. Some people are better with kids. Some people are better with housework. Some people really love deep cleaning and other people would miss a lot. That's fine. But you got to make sure that you're kind of aware, knowledgeable, and you actually do some of those other things. So you just know that, you know what, I can steer this ship should that time come where I need to steer it alone. Don't get me wrong, we all have strength, and I told you that. However, variety is the spice of life. So keep the spice in your relationship by adding variety to your roles. Switch, you walk the dog, have your partner walk the dog, you write some checks, have your partner write some checks, you clean the house, you guys, whatever, vice versa. It's just kind of really. And also, maybe your partner, even though they're very good at something, maybe they want to break from it. Maybe they don't want to be the one to always drop the kids off at school, or they don't always want to be the one to pick up the medications or the prescriptions or something. So, just vary things up. You are individuals with overlapping interests, not a two-headed monster. So cheering each other on in your pursuits and interests is one of the great joys of being a couple. And side note, these roles usually do change after D-Day, as D-Day has a tendency to make everyone evaluate and do a complete makeover and a rehaul to your life. One of the things I say all the time is, if you're talking to somebody who had a heart attack 2 years after their heart attack, oftentimes they're in the best shape of their life. They're in the best health of their life. They're in the best mood of their life. They're living passionately and healthy. And that's because when a bomb went off in their life, they had to do a self-evaluation. They realized, I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't at the job I wanted. I wasn't prioritizing my self-care. And that's what happens oftentimes after the bomb of infidelity happens in your marriage is, what are we doing, or what am I doing that I no longer will tolerate or negotiate? Okay, next one. Beat back resentment. And this is huge. This is huge in relationships in general, not to mention after infidelity. Don't harbor resentment. Keep in mind, resentment corrodes its container. So you might have resentment towards other people, but honestly, it's just corroding you. It's just harming you. Within the intimacy of marriage or any relationship, and this could be a relationship with your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your children, your neighbors, your coworkers, even yourself, if you don't practice self-forgiveness. Bitterness and resentment in any relationships can fester and get worse with time if it's left unattended. Of course, it also creates significant barriers to intimacy on all levels. And again, this is with all relationships. In a marriage, you must do your best to be kind and accepting towards your partner. And of course, love them for who they are, even including their flaws. And again, this goes to your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, what have you as well. One of the things I stress to couples when sharing the importance of acknowledging and validating, you don't necessarily have to agree with what anyone around you is saying, whether it's your partner or what have you, but to acknowledge and validate their experience. That goes a long way. And that also prevents you from growing resentment, because all resentment does is chip away at you. Be aware of each other's goals and aspirations. There are various aspects of a relationship that are important in order to have a healthy, successful relationship, including trust, commitment, friendship, conflict management, and shared meaning. Making life dreams come true will help you succeed in all of these areas. So what I mean by that is being aware of each other's goals and actually helping each other's goals. If your partner has a goal of writing a book, help him or her. And if you have a goal of, running a marathon, I hope your partner is saying, listen, I got the kids, you go run, or let's get up and run together, or you go run, I'll do the dishes. I mean, helping each other with your goals. If you can succeed at this, you will both feel like you have somebody who knows you, understands you, supports you, encourages you, and values you. Next one, always check in with your own emotions. Constantly check with your feelings about your partner. It goes without saying that the nature of your relationship will change over time. And don't get me wrong, we even get up sometimes on the wrong side of bed. So we have to check our own emotions. As lovely as the initial butterflies are in any relationship, they will fade away to make room for a deeper, more lasting connection. So sometimes changing feelings can cause a couple to panic as they believe it's a sign of incompatibility. But no, that's just moving your relationship up another level, especially if you can iron out those kinks. Next one is learn the art of apologizing. And this one can be a tough one, especially if you were raised in a family where you didn't hear your parents apologize, or you didn't hear the people around you apologize, or apologizing wasn't a part of your family dynamics. It could be very challenging learning how to apologize, keeping in mind everybody has a different apology language. Some people, when they apologize, they need to hear about restitution. Some people, when they apologize, they need to hear about accountability. Some people, need, what is your plan of changed behavior? Some people need to hear, will you please forgive me? Other people don't need to hear that. So you also need to get to know your apology language. When you've said something rude or treated your partner badly, take notice and apologize genuinely and as quickly as possible, because resentment, animosity, hostility, that could kind of plant a seed. And the longer it goes before you address or say, I'm sorry, that seed can start growing. You don't want that seed to grow. Ensure you take full responsibility and include how you will prevent similar behavior in the future. It's great to clarify the reasons for your behavior, whether that's, I hadn't eaten, I just read a depressing story, you caught me at the wrong time, I had a terrible meeting with my boss, I just got off the phone, blah, blah, blah. And it's not to excuse the behavior at all. It's just to add context. And keep in mind, for you couples that have younger children, chances are you have this dynamic in front of them. So why not get used to apologizing in front of them to give them a good example of healthy apologizing? Next one, number 10, be aware that both of you have to take initiative. Relationships are a living, breathing entity that requires both of you parties to individually as well as cooperatively care for, nurture, and provide for the health of the relationship. If neglected, the relationship will die, just like anything else that's living. I say all the time, relationships are like gardens. They have to be watered, they have to be tended to, and this is both parties. If neglected, the relationship will die, like I just said. Each partner needs to individually consider if and what they are contributing to the health or harm of the relationship, and what each of them need to do to nurture the relationship and health and the vitality of it, and be consistent. And as you know, if you're in a long-term relationship, and keep in mind, this again could be with a sibling, a parent, a boss, a coworker, a neighbor, or your partner, it could get exhausting. It could get tiring. And sometimes we don't want to give, sometimes we just want to sit back and be complacent. And that's fine at times because you're human, but you can't stay like that, or else, it's just like you can't keep going to the bank and taking withdrawals without eventually making a deposit, because you'll go to the bank one day and there won't be any money left to make a withdrawal. So both parties have to take initiative. This aligns the couple to work together on a common goal of health in the relationship. Number 11, ensure that you are shifting from me to we. At an essence of any healthy, lasting relationship is the ability to move from me thinking to we thinking. Your relationship is a biosphere, and to keep it healthy, it's essential for you to take the organic view. You are not above or dominant in the relationship. You are in the relationship. You are part of the relationship. You are a complement to the relationship. Things like yelling or proving that you're right, or retaliation, or controlling your partner, or withdrawing, they're all forms of pollution. They pollute your relationship. They choke the life out of your relationship. And keep in mind, if one party in the relationship is not advancing or growing, then the relationship isn't growing. It's like, you can't have somebody stand on a chair and the other person on the floor, and you both are holding hands, pulling at each other. The person that's down is going to pull the person down before the other person that's down lifts the other person up. So both parties really have to do what they need to do and put energy into lifting the relationship up. When you take an organic view and move from me thinking to we thinking, the relationship can grow and thrive into a deep, meaningful partnership. And the last one for this class is don't neglect self-care. You cannot neglect self-care. And listen, I get it. For a lot of people out there, they're in the sandwich generation. They're taking care of their older parents while they're taking care of young kids, while they're taking care of themselves, while they're taking care of their spouses, while they're going to work, while they're volunteering at church, it's endless, and you feel stretched to the max in every area. But you gotta pour into your cup. Whatever is in your cup is for you, and that's what you need. Whatever's overflowing out of your cup is for everybody else. You can't pour from an empty cup. So make sure everything in your cup, to the filled with the tippy top, is for you. Whatever's overflowing out of your cup is for everybody else. Work on yourself. Don't blame your partner for no time. Don't do this. Listen, I even tell my kids, when I'm on the treadmill, when I'm doing it, unless it's an emergency, you don't bother me. And I have a guilt-free conscience, because I will do me and put me first. And that way I can come back and be a better parent to my kids. Make sure you're tending to your psyche, your emotional needs, your spiritual needs, your physical needs, all of that stuff. It will make you a more empathetic person to your partner, to your partner's hurts, to your partner's pain, to their goals, you name it. When each spouse keeps their side of their street clean, we can do so much less acting out of unconscious old patterns and get on with helping each other feel safe, investing in one another, and being close and connected, while feeling self-confident in our self-worth and our self-respect and our everything skyrockets. We will be able to add so much more to the relationship, continuously elevating that relationship, making for a wonderful partnership to thrive now and in the future. So that was the first part of my class. Stay tuned next week for part 2. Great day.